she wears the coat I bought her. It makes her feel like deep blue water. She said her hair is down to her shoulder. She said she thought about what I told her. She wrote me a letter. I first noticed it in the corner of a shop window. On the cover, a faded photograph of young women in a circle, like flowers in full bloom. The book didn't exactly draw attention to itself, but had the appeal of a private invitation. The title, Ghost Letters, stared back at me without blinking. And the author, wouldn't you know, was one of my favorites, Anonymous. I was hooked. That same night, I heard church bells. I held the book. It opened like a Bible, full of mystery and power. I turned to the first letter. It was from Helen. As I read it, what I saw in my mind's eye seemed slightly unrelated to the text, like a dream.
Saturday, 30 August, 1924. Dear folks, we left Aunt Bess's at exactly 5 o'clock. A little later, we were on Michigan Avenue when we saw a young girl, about 20 or more, who probably had been out all night. She was in a taxi. She got out and went behind the cab and looked like she didn't feel so good. Then she got in the cab and we followed them. He let her out about a block from where she lived. Last we saw of her, she was going home with a stick in her hand, hitting trees. We rode on and finally got to the sand dunes. Then we went to Waverly Beach. There was a high mountain of sand. We went uphill. You'd be scared stiff if you've never been up a high mountain. Robert ran down and left me up there alone. So I slid down part way and then ran. We kept going until we got hungry. Aunt Bess made some tenderloin sandwiches and we ate those. I was thirsty and Joe too, so we each got a bottle of pop. Robert and Dorothy had ice cream cones. Mama didn't have anything. Then we drove for a while. Next, we came to a drugstore in Michigan City. I got another bottle of pop. Again, Mama didn't have anything. Then we went to a pizza place on South Burdick Street, where the cook rolled up the dough for everybody to see. It was exciting and fun to eat. Later, we reached Uncle and Auntie Ethan's. They were putting hay in the barn. We went right over to help. I'll write more soon. Love, Helen.
I was struck by how ordinary and alive it all sounded. It kind of floated in the air, just out of reach. The detail, the fleeting images, the directness and familiarity of it all. I read another one, this one from Martha on October 25th, 1920.
Dear all, I just can't get time to write, it seems, and I'm waiting for bath water, and Lou and I are going to Mrs. Riker's for dinner this evening, and Jean is coming up right after school, and Mrs. Luders is coming after supper, and then the club starts Thursday, and I'm going to have a Halloween party. Oh, I wish you could be here for that. I have been putting off Jean's party, thinking you could be home, but I guess I can't wait any longer. The children each had a small dish of red raspberries picked from our vines. And two of Anne's friends were in for the day Sunday, and They brought a bushel of black walnuts, a chicken, a pumpkin squash, and cabbage, and 10 eggs. And they gave the children each $1. Mrs. Langhorne transplanted your spider plant to a large pot. It has grown so and has so many runners, but the ends are turning brown, and I've taken all kinds of pains with it, but I don't know how to stop it. Both the big and the little ones are in bloom though, and this has been a beautiful month, and the foliage is so pretty and so many fall flowers. But it's cold now, so I guess it won't be pretty much longer. And another bungalow is going up across the street just this side of the stucco house, and the one on the corner is some completed place. Catherine had her party on Saturday, and Lou took the children over. They gave her a bubble book, and little Annie came running downstairs crying, wanting to see her mother. The girls came down and dragged her back, but she wouldn't stay. She was crying as though her heart would break and said, "Mama, I'm so homesick, and send Daddy to get me." She wouldn't go up to the party, but Lou stayed with her, and I think we're going to have a time with her when she goes to school. Well, I don't have much time to write anymore now, and having written this in such a hurry, I don't know if you'll get much out of it. But we haven't gotten you a birthday present yet. Though don't worry, we will. With lots of love, Martha.
Reading the letters was like striking a match in the dark. It felt almost voyeuristic. And the more I read, the more vivid the images became. The next one was written by a young woman on January 16th, 1923, and appeared to be unfinished.
Dear Peg, enclosed, please find a sketch that my artist comrade Beanie did, and Beans was particularly interested and thrilled. She wanted to copy the thing, so I let her. She spent most of the late Sunday afternoon doing it. She made 4 copies. It's another pen and ink very like this one, only a bit better done. You mustn't feel horrified about my showing these pictures, particularly to Elle, as she doesn't know you or Bill, thus the pictures aren't personal to her, only symbolical. The delight the pictures hold for me is that they seem so much like thee, not so much like Bill, even if they do copy thee from a photo. John was awfully mad that night. People have been talking to him and arousing his pride and anger, jealousy, everything. He had too many counselors and listened too much to public gossip, so he was bitter. I was arrayed in Bean's blue dress. It fitted me suavely and well. The blue of it was good for my eyes. My hair was perfect to the last soft curl, and I was disposed to be tractable. And then John told me again how much he wanted me, and I had to tell him I didn't love him a bit. Not any man, as for that. I told him I wanted to be fair to him, that perhaps it would be better if he stopped seeing me, but he said no.
The letters were like sketches of dark green afternoons. And fading light. But what interested me the most was the artist.
You occur to me in the strangest places, in the dim light of strangest faces, in the shimmering pools of August days. Half-contented, sad expressions, the warm pockets of old confessions, in points of view that used to be. You occur to me.
It occurred to me as well that the letters I had read so far were written by women. To other women. The next was short and rather sad, the way only a newly minted 20-year-old could be sad.
Templeton, Mass., November 21st, 1902. My dear Lucy, your letter and handkerchief came on the 19th, and I thank you ever so much for the kerchief. It made me want to weep at going out of my teens, but somehow I thought more about my birthday this year than I have ever before. Most of my thoughts were not as pleasant as one would wish them to be on their 20th birthday. I'll not write more now, but wait and talk to you when you come home. Ever your friend, Annie.
The letters had a cumulative effect, each one amplifying the other. I decided on this particular night to read one more. The last, from Mary to Lucy, undated.
Dear Lucy, I have fallen in love with a gardener boy. I am dead struck by Dwight Hadley. He seems like a very nice boy. Mama has been worrying because she had $3 more than she ought to have. Auntie says to tell you to keep your courage up, for you can come home in 8 weeks. We are cooking for you now. Jelly, for instance. Mama has made about 24 glasses of apple jelly. I made a lovely spice cake last Saturday. How is Helen? Have you seen Alice yet? It's a very sad tale about Amber. Mr. Abbott tested our voices today and put me as first soprano. Auntie brought this box of paper for me. It is blue and white and they look so pretty. Everything is going well at school, except for algebra, but enough about that. With lots of love, Mary.
And so it was that I came to write my own letter to my parents, alive only in the old footage and in my distant memory. And this is what I wrote. Dear Mom, it's been so long since we've seen each other. All the time that's passed seems like a vast blue ocean, and I'm sitting on the shore. I don't even know if you'd recognize me anymore. I was 20 when you died. You were 51. I'm now 65. It seems like a cruel impossibility. I wish we could sit in a room together and talk for hours. I think I turned out okay. I can see now that you and I had a lot more in common than I once thought possible. I'm sorry that I was so blinded to you as a person by my youth. You were always so encouraging and affectionate and present, and it gave me everything I needed to navigate through life with hope and momentum. Sometimes I feel you around me, but it's probably just wishful thinking. As the old saying goes, I wish I knew then what I know now. And Dad, when I look in a mirror, I see you staring back at me. The big ears, the easy smile. I remember our dart games in the garage. And and singing ridiculous songs in the car together. I remember how quiet you usually were, how simple and honest you seemed. You were always a bit of a mystery to me, as fathers are to sons, but I always felt loved when you were there, and you were always there. I can't express how much I miss you both, but this is my ghost letter to you, your son, Joshua.
She said she wears the coat I bought her. It makes her feel like deep blue water. She said her hair is down to her shoulder. She said she thought about what I told her. She wrote me a letter. She said the fields are dry and barren. The old barn door could use repairing. She said the world is a lonely place, but not so much when she sees my face. She wrote me a letter. I read it more than once. It lingers in my mind. It's as if she's there with me all the time. She said her days are short and swift. She said her mind still tends to drift back to a time when I was with her. She said she hopes that I still miss her. She wrote me a letter. She wrote me a